I don't think this gentleman needs any introduction. John has been around working for the Republican Party since the early 80s.
With you.
With me. I remember when he was vice chair of the party way back about 1983. And he has done nothing but good and rise in the party ever since. So we're pleased to have John Morroni at our podium this evening.
Thanks, Gail. Thank you. And it's great to see so many friends. I haven't seen some of you in a while, and some of you I've just seen the other night. But over the last 2 nights, I've been staying up late watching the Rays. And Steve, you know, you're from Boston.
Hey, when I moved out of there a long time ago.
Yeah, I heard Boston. That's all I heard.
And we volunteered at the drop for a year, working the beer concession.
Make sure you say that in your speech. Because we were rooting for the Rays last night, as many of you know, what a sad night it was last night, right to the end. But you know, I'm from Chicago, so like we always say, next year, we'll just wait till next year. You know, the Cubs. Go Cubs, absolutely.
Get rid of the goat.
But it's great to be here with all of you and Gail, who I've known for almost 30 years, and she's just done so much for the party and worked so hard. And you know, she doesn't get paid to do anything that she's done over the last 30 years of volunteering and everything. She's wonderful, and she's the kind of person that helped make the party what it is today. And Mr. Gucci, I would not want your job for $1 million. So, good luck.
You could have it for far less.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And thanks for the nice comments, and I appreciate the support that you gave me. And it was a rough week that week, but like you said, a kerfuffle, and Mr. Tucker apologized, and I accepted his apology. And like I told the press, I said, we need to move on. As a 2-time cancer survivor, and thank God I'm free of cancer right now. Every day is special, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to continue to keep any kind of a long-term feeling of ill towards him. Every day is special. I forgave him. Over, done. I'm not talking about it anymore. But let's talk about the Board of County Commissioners. If there's one person in this room that watches what goes on in the Board of County Commissioners, it's Barbara Hazelton, because she's always keeps an eye on what's going on over there. Some good, some bad in her opinion, some not so hot, But it's been a busy year with, we have a new commission since November of last year when we lost Commissioner Brickfield, who's still a very, very close friend of mine, and Commissioner Bostock. And now we have 3 Democrats and 4 Republicans on the board. And I'm going to tell you, 2 Republicans are up, and no, actually, all 3 of us are Republicans. Me, Susan Lavala, and Norm Roach are all up. And if any of us lose our seat, guess what? The Democrats control the Board of County Commissioners. So just think about it. Now, you might not agree with all 3 of us on our votes. We all don't agree together. The thing is that we're Republicans and we are there on the board, and we are going to be better than having the other side sitting up there controlling our board. So just remember that when it's election time, should there be primaries, things like that, that's fine, but we come together after the primary and support the Republican in a county commission race especially. We lost a former representative, Peter Neer last year. Who would have ever thought in a million years that seat would go to the Democrats, but it did. There's a big changing dynamic here going on in Pinellas County. We have to work really hard, and Mike knows it, and I know it, and all of you know it, and just get ready that next year is going to be a tough year for everyone, I think, right from the governor right down to the county commission. So with that, I just want to let you know about that. This year's, we passed a $1.7 billion budget. That sounds crazy, but with almost 1 million people here in our county, a built-out county, like 98% of the county is built out. There's a lot of needs out there, and we had a slight increase in the property tax rate of 0.2650 mils, which on a house that is about a $150,000 house, when you take your $50,000 off for homestead, you had $100,000. It's about a $26 a year raise. And that's in order just to keep up with inflation, to keep up with the mandated employer contributions, now that we had to do from the Florida retirement system that you've heard about, plus mandated Medicaid payments to the state over the last 2 years. The state has sent us literally millions of dollars of mandated Medicaid payments, and which is, we just don't have that kind of money sitting around doing nothing. And when that happens, guess what? We laid off 975 people over the last few years. I got the figures right here. Since fiscal year 07, 1,700 positions were decimated. Now, not all of them were filled, but 1,700 positions are gone. It came up to about 975 actual people were gone. The county administrators got the lowest staffing since fiscal year 1985. Our general fund budget's down by 27%. Our property taxes were down 35% because of the wonderful real estate market that went like this and then whoop, just like that. So that was a 35% decrease. And talking about the bigger Waters Act, I mean, you talk about affecting the budgets all over again. Just when the real estate market was starting to come around, and my house is up for sale right now in Feather Sound, which is low-lying, affected by that. It's put a damper on the market right now until Congress decides what they're going to do. At least the House passed a bill to delay it, and then it went to the Senate, and the Senate had a hearing in one of their committees, and Craig Fugate, who used to be our FEMA director here in Florida, he said, I'd love to delay it, but hey, you guys passed the law. I've got to follow the law. So he cannot delay it. So it did go into effect on October 1st, but they're working hard to hopefully when they get back to work, it'd be nice that they turn that around and either have the increases go over a 10-year period, over an 8-year period, something that people can plan. I mean, it's going to happen, but the way it was set up was that it was going to happen overnight. And I mean, and people's flood insurance were going up from $500-600 a year to like $1,000, $2,000 a year. I mean, and then there's places on the beach, if you have a beachfront property, you're talking $10,000, $20,000 for one house. Anybody in real estate, knows that that's what would happen. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So they need to do something. And I'm happy to hear it. I heard about that actually this morning, Morroni, that the state is looking into it. And boy, if there's something that they can do to make private insurance, pick up some of that and get out of Washington, that would be wonderful. And whoever does that bill is going to be a hero. So, any of you in the unincorporated area of Pinellas, like Terra Verde or not Palm Harbor necessarily, but Terra Verde, there are parts of St. Petersburg, Leomin, if you live in Leomin, Feather Sound, all that area, all the unincorporated area, we have a new surface water assessment fee, which was a long time in coming. There's 14, 15 cities out of the 24 cities in Pinellas County that already been doing it for years. And the county just never did it. We were taking it out of other money. Well, that money isn't around anymore because of the decrease in values. So while I hate voting for any kind of a new fee or a new tax, that was really necessary. And as you know, if you've seen what's happened over the last couple of years when pipes break and things like that, and it messes up Belcher Road for months, and it was, remember you weren't here, right? But it was the Christmas weekend. People couldn't even cook because of what happened over there. So we need to keep working on our infrastructure, and it costs millions of dollars a year to take care of it. So that was really necessary, and you're gonna be seeing, and it's only in the unincorporated areas, because if you live in a city, of St. Pete, you're already paying it. If you live, like I said, in 15 different cities in Pinellas, you're already paying it. You don't have to pay it. I talked about the 3.4% countywide increase in property values, which was nice. The bigger Waters Flood Insurance Act, we were talking about that. I want to just touch on a bunch of things here. The comprehensive study of our EMS system, and that's another big thing that you hear a lot about in the news. We just had a study done by consultants, they're called Fitch and Associates, indicated that our EMS system is one of the most clinically sophisticated in the entire North America. I mean, we are really lucky to have the system that we have here. The only thing is that it's an extremely expensive system. Our times are very low, 3 minutes, 4 minutes at the most for an ambulance to get to your house, and every minute is like an hour, believe me. You know what it's like calling an ambulance. So, but we're doing really well on that. But they did find some recommended changes that's going to reduce even more costs. So, but we're working on that. And if you live in like the Gandy area or the High Point Fire District, you'll see that your fire millage went down. Actually, because some of these things are going into effect little by little. So we've been able to start to lower the fire millage rates, which was nice. One area got lowered, I think it was 36%. So I'm sure that people will be really happy when they get their tax bill. One of the hottest topics lately, and I know that you're involved in this with the cats and dogs, you know, when you're a dog animal center, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, this big thing about having mandatory spay and neutering, you know, we deal with things like taxes and, you know, so many different things on the board, and now, you know, the dog and cat thing is like one of the most emotional things that we've had to deal with. When people came out of the woodwork, you know, 2 different meetings, you know, during the day and one at night, a group of people wanted to have mandatory spay and neutering. So when you brought your dog or cat to the vet, if you weren't going to, you know, put the dog to have babies or the cat to have babies, you know, purebreds, things like that, it was going to be a mandatory thing that you had to have your animal neutered. And, you know, look, government's got a lot more better things to do and to worry about than telling people what to do with their cat or dog. So it was unanimous on the board. It's like, we're like, that is not going anywhere. We are not going to do that. So what we did is that we're supporting this plan. It's called Meow Now. It's cute. MEOW Now, which stands for Managing and Ending Overpopulation Wisely. How they think of these acronyms, I don't know. They must stay up all night trying to think. But what they're going to do is that they're going to work on a business plan, come back to the board with a spending plan, a liability plan, and then criteria in which to measure a pilot program for being able to do this without mandating it. I mean, we hate putting animals down. I mean, if any of you have been to the animal services and seen the dogs and the cats that are just waiting to be picked up. I mean, Ryan, you need a dog. I mean, now that you're...
The girlfriend's already working on it.
Oh, okay, well, don't go buy them, go right to the animal services, you know, and there are so many cute animals, and after a while, you know, they get put down. But the thing is that we, as the Board of County Commissioners, did not want to tell you, you know, that you had to do something, you know, that you had to make, because what if you change your mind? You know, 2 years down the road, you're like, you know, I'd like to breed my dog out. You know, I got a beautiful Cocker Spaniel, and, you know, he'd make a great daddy with my neighbor's dog. You know, well, that's too late because now you've already had him fixed. So it's like, well, just let people do their own thing. But when it comes to the stray cats and stuff that's out there, we're going to be working on that because it is a problem. But nature is taking care of that problem up in North County, as you know, with the foxes, and now there's some dogs and cats are disappearing, you know, but you know that's nature running its course and everything. But it's like, you know, watch your kids, watch your dogs and cats, you know, kind of thing. So, but I don't have that problem in my part of the district. I mean, people don't let their animals go too much in Feather Sound and to Treasure Island, but up in East Lake, up in that area, that's where they're running rampant. What's really nice, I mean, in spite that the economy has just been coming around, you know, lately over the last year, our tourism, we're so lucky to have the tourism numbers that we have in this county, and tourism was up 8.9% this past month again, and even though we're seeing great numbers on it, it was just down a tiny bit from last August, because what happened last August? We had the Republican National Convention in Tampa, and those people were staying everywhere, I mean, on the beaches and downtown Clearwater. I mean, they were staying everywhere you possibly could. So the numbers were off a little bit, but we're still setting records in Pinellas County. So we're real lucky. And you know, those tourists pay a third of our state sales tax when, you know, on everything that we get charged. You know, they're helping pay for that. They're helping pay a third for the penny for Pinellas. You know, I mean, they're helping pay for our infrastructure and our bills. So it's great that we're having such a great turnaround on the tourism industry. I don't know if you've been down to Fort DeSoto lately, and when they did these notes for me, I wasn't even aware of this out of everything. It says over here in Fort DeSoto that they just found some remnants of old World War II munitions. Did you hear about that?
They found those in Bass too, didn't they?
There's tons of, there's like bombing and gunnery practice stuff that they had ranges out there. So they're even though that it's still open, that the park is still open, that they're trying to keep it safe over there. So just if you're out there, this is like a public service thing. It's just kind of watch where you're going there.
Oh, is it buried?
Yeah, it's buried, but you know when their kids are digging everything, guess what? They're coming up with a shell, you know, and it's like freaking out their parents. You know, so I know I'd be freaked out. So. But as far as other issues go, transportation is a big issue. You're hearing a lot about this Green Lake Pinellas, and it deals with bus rapid transit and a rail component along with it. And a lot of people are against that. That's fine. I have not come out for it. I don't think the cake is cooked yet. I don't think they have all their facts. I know that they're working on getting all the numbers together we're having a meeting in December of the Board of County Commissioners on the whole thing, and they want us to move forward from that point. But they have to have all their ducks in a row by December, and we had a small presentation today at the Pinellas Planning Council. I mean, this is the newest stuff that I got, and Brad Miller, who's the PSTA director, went over it. And while it sounds, that they're working on it, I think they still have a lot of work to do. So they got a couple more months before it comes to the county commission. But they've been working out in the communities. They've had a lot of different meetings with neighborhoods, with committees, with charrettes, where they put people together in a charrette, and they had 7 charrettes over the county. And the word's getting out that, it's a switch, like you will not have to pay property taxes, for PSTA. And so you won't have to pay that, but it'll be on the sales tax. And some people it'll be to their benefit, and I think some people it won't be to their benefit. If you spend a lot of money, you're gonna, out in retail land, it'll probably be more than what you were paying in property taxes. But for people who don't spend a lot of money, it'll probably be a wash or even less. But they're gonna come back with all the figures, like I said, in December or so. Stay tuned. But it's supposed to be on the ballot next year, and the board voted to put it on the ballot, and that's fine. I want you to have an opportunity to vote it up or vote it down. That is your business. But right now, I'm not sold on it. So with that, I want to open it up and let them feel free to, I've always been accessible, and even I haven't seen you no more. But anything I can do to help out, and people I know are the last ones that I'm going to call on. Chris, I'm sorry. Okay, no, Chris Comstock, I've known him for 20 years, great guy.
John, I wanted to speak a little about the Biggers water bill.
Okay.
First of all, I want to tell you, when I found out about it, I was stunned.
Yeah.
I went out and did a lot of work on my own, called a lot of people, spent 45 minutes on the phone with Dan DeVoe.
Yeah.
Went around to my precinct. Now, I'm the precinct committee man in Venetian Isles. Okay, I have right here a list of homes in Venetian Isles. 400,000 is the minimum amount. About 2.5 million is the high end. Okay, we estimate that we will lose $10 million in value in Venetian Isles alone. Meaning, if you own a home, you won't be able to sell it. Right. If you bought a home, as you saw in today's paper, lawsuits are going to be happening because people feel screwed over. To be honest with you, I'm severely disappointed in the county commission and everybody associated with it. When someone drops an atomic bomb on your district and your neighborhood, and that's exactly what this is, I expect somebody to be aware of it. And when I find out that it's a news guy from Channel 13 who brings it up to Pam DeVoe, and nobody was aware of it before that, it's beyond belief. I mean, I think we have paid lobbyists up in Tallahassee, we have somebody up in Washington. Don't we have a lobbyist in Washington too?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody said a word, nobody did anything, and here we are, the most heavily subsidized county in the U.S., 33,000 homes. By the way, FEMA does not know what they're talking about, because FEMA did not include any home like my home that's paid off. That was not included in their numbers. So the real number is 33,000 homes, of which, this is the most important thing, 12,000 are worth less than $100,000 off the water. as bad as things are in my neighborhood, which is higher up, and maybe okay for some of the newer homes, Shore Acres, which you have to go through to get to my neighborhood, is down low, and those people cannot afford $100 a month more, or $150 a month more, anything. And it's just shocking to me that something like this will be passed. I now found out that FEMA, in their great wisdom, will not have the new maps until 2015. I also found out, and everybody pay attention to this, if you have one piece of your property, let's say you have a big piece of property, and one piece of your property is in the bad zone, and the rest of your property is in a better zone, you're going to get posed for the bad zone. So it's you know, a terrible situation. And I will tell you, I went around to people, but one of the women in my neighborhood, I'm going to try and find something out. She went around and got 618 signatures to send up to Washington to go, you know, try and get this turned around. The truth is, the law passed, nobody was paying attention. Some of our lawmakers voted for it, some of them voted against it, some said, I didn't read the bill, I didn't know what was in there, which is typical when I was on in Washington. But the idea, John, is still, we have a paid lobbyist, you have people in Tallahassee, the governor, nobody knew, this caught everybody by surprise. And the most terrible thing is, folks, is Pinellas County, even though we're the most heavily subsidized county in the United States, we have paid in 10 times more than we have taken out. Hillsborough, same thing. Florida has paid in 4 times more than it's taken out. And I know from a personal experience, my brother-in-law, whose house was 4 feet underwater thanks to Hurricane Sandy, he got his FEMA money because he was flood insured. He's still out of pocket $65,000 redoing his house. So the flood insurance is not even the greatest thing. And then Pam DeVoe told me about a veteran who bought a house here in Pinellas County, and the poor guy it's going to go up to $26,000 his flood insurance. So my question is, how can we stay on top? I mean, I hear all these things about them going to change it, but how do you stay on top?
Well, Chris, if you knew the story of it, I don't know how Maxine Waters got a bill passed in a Republican Congress.
I agree with you. She said
That was my first question.
Let's ask them all. They all
Well,
added stuff to the
it
bill.
got passed in the House, and then it got stuck on a Senate bill, okay? And then when it went to the Senate, then they voted on it, and Bill Nelson, you know, who is like calling up our governor saying, you got to do something about this, he was one of the people that voted for it. I mean, it was like...
Who sponsored that bill?
Maxine Waters from California. Yeah, and I don't know who the other rep is, but...
She was a Republican from Wisconsin.
Chastity or something? Chastity?
Bigger, I don't know who Bigger it is, but everybody knows Maxine
She
Waters.
was a representative from
But,
Wisconsin.
no, you know, I mean, I think your spiel is really directed at a congressman, or I think that was totally a federal thing. And if they didn't know what they did last year when they passed it, you know, here we are, you know, I got a call one day about it, about 2 months ago, and I said, they passed that last year, we're just hearing about it now? And then, I mean, within, I'll bet you it was 3 days that all hell broke loose. Then I started hearing from my realtor friends and stuff, because I'm also a realtor. I still have my license, but I don't really practice real estate. But I have a lot of friends, and they're like, John, now that this is out there, they're losing deals. I mean, you know, try getting rid of a beachfront or a low-lying area down in Phoenician Island. I mean, forget it, yeah. So, I mean, it's a crisis that we're going to have right now, and just when our budget is just starting to, you know, pick up a little bit, you're talking about really messing up our revenues. I mean, if all those values go down, I mean, you'll see major shutdown of county government stuff, because, I mean, we're already working with a lot less to begin with. So, no, I mean, I share your frustration. My house is up for sale, Chris. I know it. I mean, I'm not happy about it either. So, you know, I mean, it came in August, right, when I, you know, put it up for sale. So, but, you know, I know how you're frustrated.
We have lobbyists that
Yeah.
somebody...
Well, they're now, you know, I mean, there's a million things going on, and, you know, one thing gets by, I mean, but it's a shame that happened. It's a shame. Vicki?
Vicki Imes.
Yep.
I have a question regarding the commissioner's decision on the transgender issue
Okay.
and definition. And what I'd like to know is why you voted for expanding the definition of man and a woman to gender neutral, and why it was put into the charter. I was there that night for that
Were you?
conversation, and most of the people who stood up and spoke were against this change. So my question for you is, why did you make that decision?
We made that
The
decision
charter.
because out of the 67 counties that are in Florida, I think it was 13 or 14 counties have already done that and not having a problem. About 5 years ago, we added gay and lesbian into our human rights ordinance when St. Petersburg, the city of St. Petersburg, did away with their department, and they asked the county to pick up on it. So we had to include them. Well, St. Pete at the time did not have, St. Pete at the time did have transgender included in there, but we didn't. We did. And so we passed the gay and lesbian inclusion because we were going to be taking those complaints, and then we put off the transgender thing until just recently, and it came back up. And we included it in there because there are cases of transgender, folks that are not being treated equally. But I know that it did affect some folks the way that they, there was a moral issue, things like that. But it's like, where it's already in place, it has not caused any problems. It hasn't changed anybody's life. There aren't there were some really wild cases that people have brought up that they were afraid of going into the bathroom at the gym because there'd be a guy and a girl there. I mean, that is not going to happen. I mean, that hasn't happened yet. It's not going to happen. So, that was the right thing to do. And actually, yesterday, we had the girl who runs that committee come to the commission to thank us, because that community is just feels so much more safer that it's just being included. That they just feel that now Pinellas County is a safer place to live. And she thanked us very sincerely. Yes.
Brent from Pinellas Park.
Yes.
I've had a problem with our water increases. We've had 2 water and sewage increases in Pinellas Park. And I talked to Commissioner Butler the other day about it, and he said the reason it is because the county board has increased upon the cities. So I go to the county board member, and they say, well, the Tampa Regional Water Board, which is made up of county board members throughout the region, has raised it on to the county board. My water bills are almost higher than my electric bills. And I wondered if you could speak on that. And also, I'd like to see you become the Bostock and Brookfield board. I want you to become fiscal conservative. I got a promise from Hooper, and I want a promise from you that you'll watch out for the tax.
I am, and that's why I have been, and that's why voting for this increase was so hard for me, and
Right.
it was very hard, because I'm the one, before Neil and Nancy ever got there back in '02, I said no 22 or 23 times to the tax increase that they had asked for back then, and that had passed 6-1, and I was the one back then, okay? And I've always fought it, but we got to a point where we cut so much that now we keep getting dumped from the state and dumped from the feds, and especially this Florida retirement thing, just really, that along with the Medicaid thing, we just didn't have the money. And in order to run a good government, because we still get hundreds of phone calls a day, I swear, just come and take a look at all 7 assistants. They're answering the phone all day long with people asking for stuff to be done. But I have been conservative, and I'm intent on being conservative. So, but let me tell you about the water thing. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Water Board, where all those people are elected. Actually, I just got put on it this year. Susan Latvala and me, and then there's people from the city of Tampa. There's county commissioners from Pasco County. They're from whoever is a member of the Tampa Bay Water Authority. So we did not have an increase this year. There was not an increase this year on our budget. It was the same. But there had been increases in the past, okay? They charge those cities that buy water from Tampa Bay Water more money, and then you get charged more. Now, this surface water management fee thing that we just passed, if you live in the Pinellas Park Water Management District, now, do you live in that district, the Pinellas Park water management district, which is unincorporated.
Oh, no, I'm
No?
not in the city.
Okay.
I'm
So
there.
you'll only have to worry about paying the city of Pinellas Park water fee.
Right.
Okay. But the people who live in the unincorporated area of the Pinellas Park Water Management District, they have to pay the city the fee to them, and they have to pay our fee because there are two different things. We're going to take care of the operation and maintenance, and the city is taking care of the capital. So they're going to be hit.
I asked Senator.
But they're doing opposite thing. They're doing opposite things, so they're not paying for the same thing.
I asked Senator Latvala years ago. We're surrounded by water, and I've heard of these desalination plants, and they work.
Desal, yeah.
And I don't know why we aren't building a desalination plant. Somebody said, well, what are we going to do with the salt? And I said, we live in the Midwest. We can sell it to the farmers for the cows. I mean, I just don't understand why we can't get that desalination plant. I do, with all the water we have.
Yeah, it's expensive to get the salt out of there, but it's expensive to get the water out. And we've been lucky that we haven't had a water shortage as far as when you go to turn on your faucets, like Las Vegas and other places that have seen where they don't have enough water. But ever since that whole Tampa Bay Water Authority was created, and we weren't fighting with Pasco the way we were in the past, it had gotten better. But I know what you're saying about your water bills, and I'm in a condo now. It's so much nicer than having a house.
So
Downsize, that's the way to go.
if you're in unincorporated Pinellas Park,
Mhm.
you're gonna get two separate bills?
No, it'll be on your trim notice. In fact, it was on the trim notice this year, and we got a lot of phone calls on it. But the Pinellas Park Water Management District actually did a mail out and there's X amount of people that are in that area that are in the city too. So some of those people unfortunately have to pay too, but they're not paying for the same thing because one's the building of it, and then the other one's taking care of the operation and maintenance. Not management. Yes, I feel like I've been talking to that side. Let me tell you, we got Ed over here, and why don't you tell him, because I really appreciate you being here, and tell him what the Board of County Commissioners has to look forward to in December, and how important this kind of stuff. Talk about water, like more houses, more people, more water. Go.
Thanks for the opportunity, John.
Great.
My name is Ed Methfestel, and I'm part of Save the Tides. The Tides is a golf course located in Seminole, and it's been there for many, many years. It actually enhances the community of Seminole as well as Pinellas County. And right now we're in jeopardy of losing that as a golf course and also some green space. In John's opening comments, he mentioned that Pinellas County is very densely populated, 98% populated and built out. There's not much left, and as I stated, we're in jeopardy of losing the Tides Golf Course to a developer who wants to turn it into another subdivision. As you've driven around town, certainly you know we've got far too many subdivisions as is. The Tides currently is a very good habitat for a lot of animals, wild animals. We currently have a bald eagle nesting there. Comes back every year. Wood stalks. In addition to that, it's a great property. It's 160 acres for absorbing water into the ground and replenishing the aquifers. Currently, through this whole real estate bubble and issue a few years ago, it had been bought and sold a couple of times. Very high. It was sold at a very high price. The recession took place, and the owner wasn't able to make his payments. Ultimately, the bank took it back. They defaulted on the loan. Wells Fargo currently is trying to sell it. Taylor Morrison, a home builder from Sarasota, has made an offer to buy the property contingent on the county rezoning that property from green space to residential. It was back about 7-8 months ago. We as a neighborhood association and community of Seminole got together and voiced our displeasure about it. Early going, we met with some Board of Commissioners to let it be known. At this point in time, there's strong support We've got approximately 12,500 names on our petition who are interested in preserving the ties of the golf course. The interesting thing about this is that there are 3 parties that are very interested and willing to buy the golf course and continue to own it and operate it as such. Wells Fargo is contractually bound right now to see this thing through with the Board of Commissioners. But it's a viable golf course, a viable business. It has operated in the black the last 2 years, and we very much want it to stay. Right now, the application is going through the county. November 14th, the Land Permitting Agency will review the case publicly. There'll be a public meeting. Encourage you all to attend and support us in preserving green space. Based on the LPA's decision, it will go in front of the Board of Commissioners, and ultimately 7 of the commissioners will review the case and make a decision. Again, publicly, we've gotten strong support. A lot of people have sided with us. So I appreciate the opportunity to throw it out on the table, John.
Well, you worked really hard. They've done it in a very positive way in order to get their message to all 7 of us. And honestly, I haven't seen anything done so professionally in a long time, when there's been a large group of people either wanting something or not wanting something. They've met with each one of us. We had an opportunity to go down there and take a look at it. If you hadn't been to the ties, like I hadn't been there in years, so I went down there and I took a look at it and everything. I mean, you're talking about people's quality of life that, they moved here and they bought that, their houses 20, 30 years ago, looking at a golf course, and now they're going to look at the back fence of somebody's pool. It's just not right. So, but it'll have its hearing, and it's, I'm sure there'll be a lot of folks, almost maybe more than the dog and cat people that came that day. So, right? I mean, you plan on bringing a lot of people that night, and
We have a couple of buses lined up
There you
and
go.
many other folks.
yeah, so we'll bring a lunch then.
But actually, John, in addition to that, I will tell you that this is my first experience in being involved in county government. And it's been a good experience.
Thank you.
While it's a difficult topic for me to deal with relative to potentially losing the golf course, which I reside on the 18th fairway, and it's been a gem, and that was the reason why we bought that property 17 years ago. In addition to that, Seminole is just a sensational community as a result of it. But my point is that this process in dealing with the county and the Board of Commissioners has been a very good one and a healthy process for me. Every time I have called up there or made an appointment, yourself as well as others have had their door open and willing to hear what's on our mind. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
And I'm sure you all heard the news. If you didn't see Facebook today. Bill Young announced he's retiring today.
Yeah, I was on the internet. There's no email.
Oh my God. Nobody told Gail. Yeah, and so I just want to say, the press called me what I thought about it, and I said, ever since I moved here in 1980, he's always been a gentleman. He's always been there for this community. He's worked hard. I mean, he's been able to get reelected a zillion times, and since I've been here, because of his constituent work, and he brought the bacon home, this community, Veterans Hospital, St. Pete College, there's plenty of money he brought for that, US 19, I mean, I can go on and on and on. And with his, tenure in Congress, he had the purse strings. So we've been very lucky, and we probably won't have that again for a while. But I just wanted to say while I was here that, Bill Young's been a great guy. I'm sorry to see him go. Kathy, sure.
Yes. Commissioner, I understand that the commission applied for a grant to become navigators for the Affordable Care Act. It's the only commission in the entire nation. Am I to assume from that you're enthusiastic about Obamacare?
No, absolutely not. I didn't vote that night. But the thing is that $600,000 on the table, and this is what it's going to do. And I don't know if you were there that evening, but you'll see that these navigators are going to put the people into Medicaid that are going into our emergency rooms and costing you and I a lot of money in our premiums. that it's actually going to come off of the county, that we'll have to pay for stuff, and it'll be on the state, even though we get dumped on from the state on Medicaid stuff anyway. But the thing is that right now, is that it's not Obamacare, and those navigators are not, they're not affiliated with the Affordable Act Care per se. I got a whole, I mean, we talked about that, I mean, for a long time, and I wouldn't want to even try to go through all that. They did mention that in here, but I skipped over it because I didn't know how many people would even know what a navigator is. But no, I'm not a fan of Obamacare, and I don't support it. Except for a couple of things. I do like the previous, if you had a pre-existing thing, because as a cancer patient, I think that's really important. It's not to bankrupt people for their health. Barb, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Barbara, would you stand up?
Oh.
Yeah.
I hardly know where to start, really. Obamacare, you know, by applying for and accepting this grant, that is assisting the implementation of Obamacare.
But it's against the law in Florida. Or not.
Excuse me.
Or not.
I think it's my turn.
Yeah, you're not.
Okay, so yes, there are many people that were opposed to our county commission being the only county commission in the entire United States that went so far to apply for a navigator grant, and you voted for that.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Tucker is not in the Tea Party, and I made sure that got straightened out when the newspaper started reporting that he was in the Tea Party. So my next comment has got nothing to do with Dan Tucker or his remarks or any kind. I chastise him certainly for his lack of civility. But I will say that Darden Rice has been instrumental in many aspects in this county as a serious progressive. All the things that we're all fighting against. You know, we have sides, and I don't think there's ever been any clearer time when we have to be on our side. And there is another side, and we're on our side. And it's the coming together and all of the mulling together that has gotten us where we are. There's been a more important time for us to realize what the sides are and to stand and fight. And Darden Rice has been there as a fighter for the progressives. And we have faced her head on when she has been at the St. Pete budget hearings, bringing in Occupy St. Peter's to get up and testify one by one as to why our our property taxes should be raised, in order to make the appearance that there was a lot of support for that when all of these people that were there weren't even property owners. Mm-hmm. She also brought a huge crowd of people to the redistricting meetings, and we came to the redistricting meetings trying to help the Republicans, and she was up there with all of the League of Women Voters trying to fight against the Republicans. I mean, time and time again. And then Jeff Danner, when I had so many people coming to the PSTA meetings, Jeff Danner got her on the PSTA board. We had a good Republican candidate in the form of Carolyn Peters in the form of Carolyn Fries, running for this city council seat. So when I read that you had come out and endorsed Darden Rice, I got to tell you, John, I about fell on the floor. We have got to stick together. And so I ask you, and yes, Gail, I do have a question. Why would you endorse Darden Rice? I'm sorry, but I can't let this go without asking you. And let me just say, before you say this, I don't care whether it's a partisan race or not a partisan race.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. You don't care whether it's a partisan race or not, and that's fine. But as not a member of the PCREC, and with respect to our chairman who's here, I'm an elected official. I know pretty much every single candidate almost that runs for office. Some come to me, ask me for my help. Some come to me and ask me for advice. Some ask me, what do you think about me running for the job? Okay, well, I've known Darden for 10 years, and she has not only come to me for advice, come to me about recycling, she's come to me about environmental issues. I don't know her as Darden Rice Democrat. I know her as Darden Rice being involved in her community. And you know what? I don't really care what party she is, because her opponent, who might be a wonderful lady, I've never met her. She's never come to a meeting. I mean, if you were running, I'd be endorsing you. Okay? You have been involved more than Darden. But it's like somebody's running against her who I have never heard of, who has never called me up, who's never emailed me about an issue. And it's like, I want somebody who I think is going to be good. Am I going to agree with Darden all the time? I'll tell you that. I know who she voted for president, and I bet you she didn't vote for the guy I voted for. So, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's best for the community.
Yes,
and
she's bringing all of that philosophy.
and I feel that Darden, from her work in the community, that she would be a better person. Now, let's talk about if it was a person running for as a Democrat, I have never given a check to a Democrat who is running for office, ever. Unlike other people who are in this party who have written out checks to Democrats who've run against Bill Young, have run against Peter Neer. That I've never done that. But this is a nonpartisan race, and after being in this community for 33 years, I feel like if I want to endorse someone based on their knowledge, their involvement, on my knowledge of them as a person, that is my business.
One more question. Maureen.
Mrs. Ahern.
Excuse me. I'm Maureen Ahern.
Hey, Maureen.
Because it has nothing to do with my husband.
Okay.
John, a lot of people are disappointed with your votes recently.
With what?
With your votes, your policy decisions on some of the votes, increasing taxes, changing the definition of gender to suit progressive want for inclusion of transgenders, adding the fee to the unincorporated, the stormwater fee, which we didn't lower the MSTA rate because that's where we were deriving the money from. We're still, it's still the same. And believe me, I spent all day with budget people trying to figure this out. And the end result was, yep, we're still collecting that $6 million that we collected last year, but we put $4 million in reserves because we don't think you need it. I mean, they didn't say that, of course, but times are tough. And when you're adding another tax and you're not taking away from the source where the original revenues came from to pay for the stormwater, that's a hard sell. And there's just, you say it's better to have, 4 Republicans on the commission. And I believe that. But the Republicans have to vote our values and I'll just say, there's no difference if you're all voting the same way, and you're voting the way of the president. My 75-year-old mother was shocked. She was shocked when she heard about the transgender thing. She said, "You mean to tell me that I could go into a public restroom and there could be a man dressed as a woman and I'm supposed to be okay with that? What about my rights?" And that is what that bill does. That bill does say that. So there's no denying that it's not Republican.
Yes, it could. It could, and if it was, believe me, the board would be acting on it.
Right.
But I've already explained to you why it was necessary for the fee. Okay, $6 million in the big picture for a county to fix all of the infrastructure that we have is nothing. Okay, that is nothing. And if they want to put some money, Maureen, I listened to your question now. Okay. All right, and if they want to put some money in a reserve, that's fine. That's the right thing to do for government. Okay, we hate going into our reserves. We hate doing it, but we have to have reserves. And just that thing on Belcher Road that exploded a year ago or 2 Christmases ago, I don't remember if it was last year. But I mean, it was millions of dollars. And it's like, if we're able to solve that problem ahead of time, we won't have to deal from crisis mode. And we want to look ahead. We don't want to look just for today. Like, let's just leave everything the way it is today, because 5 years from now, this place will look like hell. We've got to invest money in this county. It's an old county. I mean, we're built out. We're the first county to be built out in this state of Florida. I mean, and it's tough. I mean, some of these are really tough votes for a conservative, but I got to do what's right. And it's like, sometimes I'm not going to be, I'm not going to agree with the Republicans on everything. And it's like, the county commission issues are, I mean, when you're talking about like Ed Steele, that doesn't matter what party you are, if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, he cares about his neighborhood, and he doesn't care what party I am. He just wants to save his neighborhood. So, we're dealing with a lot of different stuff, just like your husband. I've been there, and we're not going to be on the same page on everything.
I understand that, but these are major votes. These were not just little tiny, should we put a light here or something. These were major votes, having that transgender vote, as well as increasing the general fund tax rate, as well as adding another tax to unincorporated residents. These are major votes, so we are going to be concerned about that. And again, the RD thing doesn't matter to me. It's how you vote. The RD thing doesn't matter to me. It's how you vote. And if you want our support as Republicans, I mean, we're at a Republican meeting right now. It's election time. You want to come to us and ask for our support because we are Republicans and we want to support our Republican candidates. But you have to, think about, asking for our support when you make decisions that. And I'm not just out here by myself. I'm hearing a lot of chatter out there from Republicans in Pinellas County. And so I'm just trying to, just give my voice.
I know. I know, and that's why, like I said to Barb, that's her opinion. And, it's like, that's fine. We all have our own opinion. And,
Yeah, but you make the votes. Would you vote?
I thank you all.
Mike, did Mike want to say something?
No,
Oh, you're standing up. I don't know.
I have a bruised tailbone. It has nothing to do with you guys. I just can't sit there.
Somebody kicked you in the rear.
I know, someone kicked me in the rear.
That's the last question.
Thanks. Thanks, Mike. And thank you. Email me, keep in touch.